Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And there is a strange, unusual, and dangerous anomaly in British law. If you're one of those strange men who wakes up one morning and decides that you'd like to pretend to be a woman from now on, you can, of course, change your name. But the moment you do so, you are protected by the gender laws of this country. Because at that moment, you are no longer under any obligation to use your former name. You do not have to disclose it. You are who you say you are now. This was done, of course, to protect the dignity and the hurty-fee-fees of the mentally ill. But it has a much darker downside. If you're one of those men who, let us say, gets too close to the very young, then you can now just change your name, identify as a woman, and any background check done will throw nothing up because they don't know your previous name. It's a charter for peas, and it's wrong, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be changed, because otherwise we're going to have a whole procession of peas getting work with children because now they identify as women. Let's look at this article. Transgender criminals are able to exploit loophole to withhold their names and sex at birth to hide their past convictions when applying to work with children. Transgender people are able to withhold the previous name and the biological sex. They have to personally notify officials of their past identities, a report has found. Keep Prison Single Sex report said this could be abused by criminals and that it destroys confidence in the system by putting the onus on the individual. But trans people are still legally obliged to disclose their past identities to DBS. Yes, they are. How should we put this? They have now been told that it's not up to the organisations to inquire as to past identities of people. It's up to the people to be able to tell the organisations. And if they choose not to, or they could give a false name, or anything, there's very little these organisations can do. They don't have the right to ask, because obviously the rights of trans people are far, far more important than the rights to safety of Britain's children. So transgender criminals could exploit this loophole by withholding their birth name to hide previous convictions. People who don't identify as the gender they were assigned at birth are able to withhold the name when applying for jobs in places like schools, nurseries and hospitals. Transgender people, unlike others who have changed their names, have to personally notify officials of their past identities rather than it being assigned and put out as public notice. You see, what happens is if I wanted to go and change my name, I could go down there and say, right, tomorrow I want to be known as John Smith. That's it. But it gets published that I am changing my name. It goes into the public domain. Whereas if you are transgender, it does not, because your feelings are very, very important to the authorities and you have got more rights. You have the right to privacy that other people do not, because transgender people are special in law. They're special because they're going to be allowed to access children freely. While they are still legally required to inform the Disclosure and Barring Service of their current and previous identities, the report author has told the Telegraph that it destroys confidence in the system by putting the onus onto the individual and not the organisation. Miriam Cates, God bless her, Tory MP for Penistone and Stockbridge, told the paper the purpose of criminal records checks is to both protect the public and to deter those who mean harm from trying to gain access to children and vulnerable people. Now, we did the thing yesterday about the trans who managed to get 10 weeks in a woman's refuge where there was women and children present, because these people are obsessed with children. And this charter basically is giving them a right that other people don't have. They have the right to change their name privately. They don't have to tell anyone anything. And then they get access to children, which is really what they're ultimately after. If predators can evade scrutiny by changing their name or claiming to be the opposite sex, we can be sure that this DBS loophole will be abused and children will be harmed. You absolutely know it, because as soon as there's any kind of loophole, these lowlifes crawl through it like maggots that they are, all to get their hands on children all the time. The report claims that the system can be abused by nefarious criminals wanting to hide their previous convictions to gain access to the vulnerable people. And the report warns that the current DBS system relies on the assumption that these disclosures will be made accurately and fully when there are reasons why they might not be. Omission could be deliberate, including for nefarious reasons. But criminals withholding their previous identities is not a new concept. So Ian Huntley, who M'd 10-year-olds Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells in 2003, was famously able to get employed by a school after changing his name by deed poll and hiding his real identity from a criminal record check. They've closed that loophole, but they haven't closed this one. Ministers are currently reviewing an existing loophole which requires on offenders notifying them when they change their names by deed poll. Because at the moment, there's no obligation. They're supposed to, but hey, if they don't, who's coming and knocking? The DBS part of the Home Office set up a sensitive applications route for people who are transgender. No, that needs to be the same for everyone. It used to be that if you were black and white, you had different laws. And I went, no, equality, everyone's the same. If you were male and female, equality, everyone's the same. Just because you're transgender doesn't give you extra rights. You are subject to the same laws. The fact that you want to put on a frock and call yourself Marjorie is your business. We, the public, have the right to safety, and we want to know when you change your name. We want to know why you're changing your name. This means the information is not disclosed to their prospective employer. Dr. Kate Coleman, director of KPSS, that's Keep Prisons Single Sex, said that the enhanced privacy rights given to transgender individuals means that there's no guarantee that the information on a criminal record check is correct. Again, because the authorities seem to think that the mentally ill men who want access to children should have more rights than everyone else. The loopholes are serious risks to safeguarding that compromise the validity and reliability of the system, she warned. And the report calls for criminal records checks to be instead carried out using the national insurance numbers, which never change. A spokesman for the DBS said all applicants for DBS checks are required to sign a legal declaration confirming they have disclosed both their current and previous identities, and this therefore applies to transgender applicants. Yes, it requires them to do it and it requires them to sign it, but nobody's checking. Yes, this is what I've done. Lies on form. Signs. Oh, he's written that down and he signed it. That's fine. This is it. The Disclosure and Barring Service provides a sensitive applications process under the Gender Recognition Act 2004 for transgender applicants. Why do they get special laws? Why are they subject to different laws simply because of their mental illness? The previous identities, including the birth sex of transgender individuals, are legally protected. Yes. Why? Why are they legally protected and no one else is? What is special about them? Why does the law protect potential Ps? Our sensitive application process introduces no additional risk to DBS checks. Well, yes, it obviously does, because you're asking potential criminals to just sign something and nobody's checking it. It merely affords transgender applicants with the legal protections that they're entitled to. Oh, they're entitled to these legal protections, but no one else is. And that's what's wrong. Screw them. They have to complete the same route as everyone else. And if they don't like it, tough. These people are doing this so they can access children, and then they're complaining when we say, no, we're going to shut that loophole. Why are they complaining? Why do they want this loophole closed? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm going to finish there and come up. Actually, it doesn't make me wonder why they want it closed at all. We all know how dangerous these people are. We've done many videos on how transgenders like to get close to children. Just last week, I did one about the changing room. We did one yesterday, like I say, about the man in the woman's refuge. It's all the time. It's all over the place. It's transgenders wanting access to children, exposing themselves to children, looking for jobs that get them close to children. Because as I've said before, these paraphilias always extend to children, and they are obsessed with it. You look at all the lobby groups that push the trans ideology. They're always wanting to go into schools and into libraries. It's almost as though they exist purely to access children. Well, we do know this because they want to put the P into the LGBTP, don't they? They want to normalise that because they're all sick individuals. Anyway, I'm going to stop now before I get too angry. Thank you for listening. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, ring the bell for notification of future outputs. Leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, make sure you know the name of people, and goodbye.